equation of a line, a different form. It's called point-slope form. On your sheet at the top, you can see what point-slope form looks like, and I will circle it here. As the name suggests, you can tell what the slope is. As always, that's your m. And then there's an actual point involved, any point on that line. And that's represented by the x sub 1 and the y sub 1. We're going to practice plugging some numbers into this form so you can get a feel for what it's like. In number 1, I'll rewrite the general form so you can see it. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. The x sub 1 is the negative 1. The y sub 1 is the 7. That's the point, not just the plain variables that you see in the formula. When I plug this in then, it's going to look like y minus, instead of y sub 1, I'm going to have a 7 equals my slope, that's your m, negative 3 times the quantity x minus x sub 1, which is a negative 1. And there's just one thing you could do to maybe clean this up a little bit, and is take care of that double negatives. So you'll end up with y minus 7 is equal to a negative 3 times the quantity x plus 1. And that is a form of a line. Let's try that again with our next problem. Same thing. This is an x, this is a y, and we're going to name them x sub 1 and y sub 1. I'll rewrite the formula really quick so you can see it again. And you're just plugging your information in. Y minus your y sub 1 is a negative 8. Slope m, 2/5, times x minus x sub 1, which is 10. Again, let's clean it up a little bit. Instead of y minus negative 8, let's put y plus 8. And everything else over here looks pretty good, so I'll just rewrite it. And there's my equation in point-slope form. Let's go ahead and let's graph some of these. So we're going to work kind of backwards compared to what we were doing before. Maybe I'll change colors here. So this time they give us an equation in point-slope form, and we have to graph it. So we have to pick off what the slope is. And what is the point? Slope is easy to find. That's always the number in front of those, that set of parentheses. That's your m. So your slope is 2, or 2 over 1 when you want to think about rise over run. The point, this is your x sub 1 and your y sub 1. X sub 1 is located right here, y sub 1 is located right here. And it's kind of goofy because the x is listed second, but it's going to be the first number in our point because we always have our x's first and our y's. Our x sub 1 is a positive 4. Think about how you would have to put that in the equation into the form. When you put it in there, it'd be x minus 4. So it does go in there as a positive 4. Same thing for the y, it's just going to be a positive 5. Because if you were to go in reverse and put it back into the formula, it's that y minus y sub 1 or y minus 5. And some students get a little confused about those signs. So when you graph these, you just pick off that point, go find where 4, 5 is. Then from that point, use your slope to find other points. So I'm going to go up 2 and over 1, up 2 over 1, go backwards as well. Don't forget to connect your points to form your line. Try another one. Slope, point. Slope is the easy one to find in this form. 1/3, that's your rise over your run. Your point, your x sub 1, your y sub 1. X sub 1 is located here, y sub 1 is here. Again, 1 and 2. They're not negative because if you think about plugging that into the original format, it would go in there and it'd just be a -1 and a -2. I go find that point. Then use the slope to find other points on my line, up 1 over 3. And you can see the line heading across. 2 more on your note sheet that we're going to look at. Again, list slope, point, slope here, negative 2/3. Here's x sub 1, here's y sub 1. This is where it gets a little tricky. X sub 1 looks like a 2, just a positive 2, but remember you're taking that out. Think about how it would have had to be inserted into the formula. It's going to have to be a negative 2, because when you put it in to the formula, you would end up putting it in like this, x minus a negative 2, and those two negatives would become that positive that you see over here. So that's why it's a negative 2. And then the y is just a 5. I'm going to find negative 2, 5. Then I'm going to use my slope, which is negative 2/3. I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 3. Connect them for my line. Watch your signs when you're doing these problems. Last one, slope, point. Slope is a negative 3 or negative 3 over 1. Rise over run. Point, x sub 1, y sub 1. Take a second, think about it. What would those numbers have to be? Is it going to be 2 and 1? Or is it going to be negative 2, negative 1? It's going to have to be that negative 2 and that negative 1. If you think about plugging that back in, you'd have y minus a negative 1 on your left side of your equation, and that gives them the y plus 1 that you see up here. Go ahead and find that point, negative 2, negative 1. Slope is down 3 and to the right 1. Connect them, you got your line. That is what point-slope form looks like from a graphing standpoint. We're going to be using this for a lot of different things, and this is where we would start.